Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Justin LaFontaine, and I'm the program lead for the Ontario Tourism Innovation Lab. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is our second in a series of Digital Shift virtual workshops. We have tourism entrepreneurs, small businesses, and organizations joining us from across the province. And we have a full agenda and program, so just going to do a quick introduction. So first, I'd like to thank the Ontario Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industries for the support of the lab and this virtual workshop series. I'd also like to give another shout out, I did this before, to Minister McLeod, ministry staff, Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, regional tourism organizations, local DMOs for their collective leadership during this unprecedented time for our industry, of course, and also the global community. And thanks to the municipality of Chatham-Kent for the inspiration and catalyst to launch this virtual workshop series. For those we have not connected with yet, the Ontario Tourism Innovation Lab is a nonprofit initiative and tourism development incubator. Launched as a pilot in Windsor, Essex in 2018, the lab and its Spark mentorships and grants programs are now expanding to regions across the province. And we're particularly excited to highlight an innovative initiative in the Bay of Quinte area in Belleville today, which is one of our partner regions. The lab is a program of Hackforge and is based at the University of Windsor Epicenter. For more information about what we do and our programs, visit tourisminnovation.ca. You can also follow us and stay up to date on social media. In addition to sparking and supporting new tourism ideas and experiences, one of our emerging goals is to cultivate and propel more collaborations between the tourism and tech sectors to spark new innovations, offerings, and product delivery. To launch our Tourism Plus Tech initiative, the lab partnered with the incredible team at WEtech Alliance to launch this Digital Shift virtual workshop series. And my colleague, Adam Castle, who is on the video there, he'll be leading the second half of today's session, outlining tangible tools small businesses and organizations can use to initiate and test new digital ideas. First, we're going to dive into the Zoom side chat with our Shift experts on the call today, Mary Jo Courier, Executive Director, and Kelsey Moniz, Media and Marketing Officer from the Belleville Downtown District BIA. They will tell us about their innovative online marketplace initiative and share their learnings and preliminary results and some of the challenges and other opportunities they've discovered since launching this. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce and welcome Mary Jo and Kelsey to give an introduction and also introduce their BIA, and then we'll get into the details around their e-marketplace initiative. So Mary Jo and Kelsey, can I get you to say hi and give some background on your organization?
Hello, I'm Mary Jo.
Oh, and I'm Kelsey.
We work for the BIA, Downtown District BIA in Belleville, and we've both been with the organization for, in my case, a year and a half. Kelsey is just coming up to her anniversary for a year, and we've been working hard to rebrand and reposition the downtown core of our city. Our city is about 50,000, and then there's probably about 120,000 in the region that consider Belleville their city. Yeah, so that's a very short introduction of our location. I guess for those of you that don't know, we are on the 401 corridor in between Toronto and Montreal, Ottawa, and we're right on the Bay of Quinte. So our downtown goes north-south, and at the south end is the marina and a beautiful Bay of Quinte. On the other side of the Bay of Quinte is Prince Edward County.
Great. Well, thanks so much. And certainly I've been enjoying my exploration of Belleville and the Bay of Quinte area since we joined and partnered with them to launch the Spark program there. So I encourage everyone on the call today to try visit Belleville when it's safe to do and enjoy all of the different things that are underway there. And one thing, you know, when the COVID crisis really hit in March and April, myself and Adam and others started learning about this e-marketplace initiative that you really moved forward with quite early in the early days of the crisis. So that's what really piqued our interest in terms of connecting with potential customers and driving sales through an online platform, but at the same time working with your traditional membership and your other programs that you deliver. So with that, maybe you can share with the group today about the online marketplace that you set up and launched.
Definitely. I'm going to share my screen now so everybody can see what we're talking about if they haven't had the opportunity to visit. Okay. So this is the Downtown District Marketplace. It's the e-commerce platform that we've created to allow our downtown members to sell their products and services online to the local community and beyond. So as a consumer, you can go on here and you can shop by collection, which we've curated based on the members that are online, and that continues to grow and evolve as more members come on. So from a consumer perspective, you really have that great experience with shopping any e-commerce site. But what great benefit we have is you can also shop by store. So if you're going on and you're looking for a specific business that you know, and you're looking for something in particular, you can actually go in and shop them directly. So for instance, going into Bretzi's Gallery, which is a vintage shop here in downtown, you can see all the products they have available and shop them as well as everybody else. So it's kind of a mini Amazon, mini eBay idea. So from a customer perspective, you can kind of add everything you want to your cart and it's one checkout. So it's really nice. It's really easy to use. And we've gotten really great feedback about the platform itself. We've even added takeout, the options for restaurants. Some restaurants we do have available on here where you can actually order online, and lots of pre-ordering or scheduling like that. And then you can also click off to other restaurants that aren't on here, but we allow that portal to happen through this page. We also have the ability to do e-gift cards on the marketplace, as well as businesses can promote their own gift cards as products here. So from a customer perspective, it's a really easy shopping experience. You can shop over 30 downtown businesses. You add all your products to the cart, doesn't matter what business you're shopping from, and then you actually get a note on when to pick up your products when each of the businesses are ready to fulfill. So there's a lot of automatic communication that goes on in the back end through just a member clicking ready to pick up, and so this is the home page which we've curated here. And then from a seller perspective, which is our members, we refer to them as sellers on this marketplace, they have the ability to create their own product pages, their own profile. They manage all of that directly themselves. We just created the platform and we administer any of the back end things that we might need to step into, as well as payment reconciliation and all of that. So we really give the ownership to the businesses to be able to manage their products and their customer relationships as well. They have all the information on their buyers. So that's really just a quick overview of what the marketplace is and kind of where it is for consumers as well as our members.
Well, thanks so much for that, and I'm sure everybody will be going afterwards to see, go into a little bit more of a deeper dive on that site. Tell us how this initiative started for you. I don't know when your official launch date was, but from my memory, it was kind of at that the height of the COVID crisis. So certainly there was work that was undertaken before, and also maybe describe how you decided on the platform to use for this initiative.
So there was a lot of interest in marketplaces for myself before I came to the BIA. So I had already done a lot of research and had brought that with me to the BIA, suggesting that that would be something that we could introduce for our members down the road. So we had it loosely planned for 2021 as an initiative that we would execute then. When COVID hit, and Kelsey and I had done some very soft research on a couple of companies that we were interested in and just hadn't really moved forward on it. It wasn't happening anytime soon. And then COVID hit and we both sort of said, let's just try Shopify one more time. I had already gone to Shopify well before that time, and they were like, no, we're not doing marketplace, we're not set up for that. So I thought it was off the table. We did a little bit of poking around on one weekend and found an app that was fairly new that was able to create that marketplace atmosphere. So we both put our heads down in the geek style that we both are at heart, and just tried to see if we could at least get something up that we could present to our board and say, we think this will work and we think we can do it really quickly. And you've got to remember, at this time, our retailers and restaurants have been completely shut down. So going from cash flow to zero. So we were really in a panic as a community, as globally everyone was. But this seemed like, hey, we can move, if we can get everybody online. And we didn't have we used Digital Main Street last year. So we had some people on the street that were more tech savvy than others, certainly more so than a year ago before DMS. But there were some that had to make a huge jump when it came to that kind of experience. Shopify and the app that we used were extremely intuitive. If any of you've been, if you're familiar with Shopify, you know how friendly it is. And then the app that we used is also just as friendly. And so we tried it, we pitched it to the board. They were like, how much does it cost? And let's try it. And it wasn't a steep cost attached to trying it. So we worked for 4 weeks straight, just really working with the sellers in particular, saying, you know, this is an opportunity that you really don't want to miss, but you are going to have to move fast. We literally worked with them online. In some cases, we worked with them in social distancing atmospheres on the phone, just trying to get them feeling comfortable and confident. We had, I think, about 10 sellers when we first started. When we launched, Kelsey, did we have 25?
Yeah, when we launched April 17th, we had 25 strong members. Yeah.
So we had 25 that were had strong pages, strong product. We had everything set up, and now we're over 30, and we've been April 17th. So we're well into our second, probably 9th week, I think. And we've seen revenues. We just hit the 40,000 mark, actually 43 recently. So that's $43,000 that wasn't going to go into people's pockets over that 8 weeks. Plus there's quite a ripple effect. There were not a lot, I guess a handful of our higher tech members who had already started an online store, and then so they really jumped on and said, okay, I really got to get serious. So we allowed our marketplace to be a portal for them. So there's that. And then once the stores opened, then the marketplace became that sort of like a lookbook, way to shop around without commitment, and then also continue to purchase, but then also come into the store. So that's sort of how it happened.
Amazing. I'm just going to mention now, Adam, of course, is standing by. So, of course, if you have any questions, Adam, and if anyone listening today has any questions, you can send them in, and Adam will bring them up to share with Mary Jo and Kelsey.
For sure. So the first question we have is from a Belleville aficionado, and they just asked if downtown Belleville still has a lot of their one-way street usage.
Interestingly, no, we're still two-way street, but we have a request in from the city to go back down to one-way for the summer while we execute our.
Got it. And then the second is, you mentioned an app that you use to sort of power the back end of this. What's the name of the app?
It's called Multi-Vendor Marketplace.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time? I think you're cut off.
Multi-Vendor Marketplace.
Multi-vendor, and it's and it works sort of seamlessly with Shopify as an app within that.
Yep, it's fully connected. So you go, if you have a Shopify site, you can go into the apps and you can search for that and then add it.
Awesome. All right, Justin, that's all we have from the questions so far.
I was wondering, you mentioned, I think there was an initial 25 businesses, is that right, when you started? And that's grown to 30 or more at this point. What's been the kind of the delivery result of this? Like, in the sense, you know, the orders are coming in, have, has it been seamless in that sense, in terms of, you mentioned some of your businesses may have different levels of digital capacity, so to speak. So managing the orders on their end, how did you find that from, the start, and has it kind of evolved or changed over the last 2 months? Because your 2-month anniversary is coming up on Thursday this week.
I think just to start off, Mary Jo, you can add as well. We really, at the beginning, right before we launched and when we were getting our members on board, training was a big piece of what we did. And that included one-on-ones or group settings virtually, as well as sometimes in person. And we really gave them all the tools that we felt were necessary to get started, including how to fulfill. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. We haven't had any issue with fulfillment. People were, the sellers were so excited. As soon as orders were coming in, they were fulfilling. And when we first launched, we actually had local delivery only because everything was closed. You couldn't go into stores. And people were ordering in the morning and receiving in the afternoon. So it was even better than Amazon, some reviews said. So that was really exciting to see. And we've changed now from not, going from delivery only now to only pick up in store, because now places are open. And still, it's been a really great experience for customers getting their orders within a few days, if not the same day.
Great. And how did the customers hear about this? What was your kind of promotional plan to get the word out? Because it was such a new sort of concept for a BIA. And I know that in the media articles that we posted and that I've read, many BIAs around the province and beyond, we're all looking at this great example of innovation that you were doing. So how did you get that word out that you were launching?
Well, we actually, do you want to go, Mary Jo?
Oh, I want to see what you say. I know what I want to say.
Okay, I'll start off. Well, as you can imagine, we had 4 weeks to develop all of this and to create a marketing plan and to launch it. We kind of on the fly just started doing things. We did a teaser to begin with, and that was just on social media, all of our organic, getting the word out to local media just organically. And then once we launched, we did official press release. We engaged with our OBIA, which is the Ontario Business Improvement Association, to share that and to get the word out in that sense, as well as outreaching to larger news outlets there. But there was a lot of just on our social media feeds, Instagram and Facebook, and word of mouth. Once we were telling our members about it, they were telling their networks, and that's really how it became big locally.
Yeah, I guess I totally agree. I think we pretty much just followed a formula that we use here anyway for most events. But what I was going to say, and the reason why I waited until Kelsey spoke, is because we really were flying by the seat of our pants. We had no time whatsoever. It was like we woke up in the morning and we're like, okay, what is absolute priority to get done today? And there were times when we would have loved to have a strategy to say, okay, well, this is what we're supposed to be doing, but there was no roadmap. It was, yeah. So.
Okay. That's actually what we heard from our last shift experts as well. Actually, Adriano's here as well, but they basically said, they're trying to figure things out as they go. They're reacting almost in the moment, right? So it's a lot of intuition and a lot of crossing your fingers. So
one of the things we did do in the beginning is we did have a little, almost like a focus group for the first 48 hours or so, and basically said, we sort of soft launched it and said, if there's anything wrong, please let us know. And ever since the beginning of the site, we have, you'll see in the bottom right corner, there's a little chat that comes directly to myself and Kelsey's phone. And so in the beginning, there were a lot of questions, a lot of accolades for the most part. And then the odd, this isn't working. So we were able to fix it like right away, no matter, because you can work on your phone on Shopify, you can work wherever you are. So that also helped with that.
Yeah, I guess that was part of our, really quick strategy that we came up with, doing a VIP launch, we called it. So we actually were collecting email addresses as soon as we had the site up. We had a landing page to collect emails. And then when we were ready to launch, we decided to do a soft launch, like Mary Jo said, just to a select, I think we had 250 that we said, please help us, go shopping, tell us what's working, tell us what's wrong, and let's fix it before it goes out to everyone. So
that's
that
awesome.
really helped.
That's actually the exact way we teach startups to launch their products as well, is to track in that way and to get sort of eyeballs on something before it's even real, right? Or out into the wild, as we say. So that's fantastic, really well.
Adam, is there any, I saw a question that might have come in.
Yeah, for sure. So one more in the app, and so I'll just let everyone know too. We'll post all the app information and give you a link to actually reach out to it. But one of the things that were asked was, our companies or your sellers that you've called them, are they able to actually go on and use targeted Google ads to their specific stores in that way? So similar you would with your own website. Is that a possibility through the platform?
I don't think we know yet, do we, Kelsey?
We were looking into doing Google ads for the platform in general, not necessarily each seller doing their own, but more as a whole marketplace to be able to do it. Where we are advising our members to help market themselves is through sharing their links on Facebook and Instagram. And the best thing about Facebook is you can actually link, and have that carousel image happening.
Mm-hmm.
You link right through to the site. So we're definitely encouraging that. That's something that is each member can do for their own products, for their own seller profile page and all that.
Yeah, and I would say that in general, we're having not trouble, but it's a challenge for a number of our members, the majority of our members, just simply to share on Facebook in the correct way so that it links right through to the product. So introducing them to Google Ads isn't going to happen for another month or so, at least. And they don't have a lot of income right now. We're really counting on organic. So.
Do you have full control over the back end? So of like the Shopify site, is it your account or the BIA account, and then they sort of fall under that?
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
So for instance, somebody, I would say came on as a business, we have the ability to, bring them on through the platform, or, vice versa. If somebody's leaving or changing hands, business changing hands, we can change that information on the back end too, to enable that new person to come in.
Now, you're almost at your 2-month mark. Can you share with all of us any kind of preliminary results, learnings, some of the strengths of the platform that you found work really well, even categories that seem to be outperforming others. I'm not sure if that data is kind of broken down there, but sharing just the experience you've had in the last 60 days.
Do you want to go first, Kelsey?
Go ahead.
Oh, great. That's a hard question. I would say the win for this project is, and we still have a long way to go with this, I think, as a community and as a province and as a country. The win in all of this is we really need to support locally birthed businesses. And the reason I say it that way is because, of course, everything is local. Starbucks is local here. It supports local community just as well as somebody who's an entrepreneur. But I think we all know what the difference is between that mom and pop shop or that tech business that started from the ground up and is purely local. So I think the marketplace really allows people, and it's a choice for people to say, okay, this is one way that I can support my local economy. I can help my neighbor. I can keep people employed. I can keep people from going bankrupt. It feels good for people, right? So if you're, a guilty shopper where you're like, I need to go on Amazon because I can't stand it anymore. This is sort of that, like, okay, I don't have to feel, I can go do that for products I can't get, but there's like 1,000+ products that I can get in my own community, and I can then walk down and meet that person. And there's so in the world of COVID, which was social distancing, there was actually quite a bit of community building around the marketplace, not only for our sellers, so the 25 to 30 people that joined in on the project, there definitely became a lot closer, became much more collaborative, helping each other, developing personal relationships, but then also for the people in our community that already supported the downtown, really understanding that they were our ambassadors to go out and say, you have a choice. You have a choice here. You can go shop here for the exact same product, or you can go over here to this franchise that's national and buy the exact same product. It's up to you. So I would say, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's that was a win for us, and it was timely because that's a message we were trying to say before COVID anyway. And this just, you know, was a good timing and good fit.
Kelsey, any thoughts on your learnings over the last 2 months? Things that worked and maybe some challenges you might have faced?
Well, we faced a lot of challenges, but we looked at them as opportunities. And I think, you know, I think it's just our nature as well, Mary Jo and I. You know, we needed this to work. We wanted it to work. So we did everything we could to support our businesses, to teach them. And with that there was challenges too. This platform that we didn't know anyone using the integrated app. So we really had to learn it ourselves and trial and error with a lot of things. Things that might be basic on a single Shopify site, we couldn't necessarily have that happen because we had multiple levels and layers that we needed to bring in. So for instance, shipping, that was an issue. Like we were going to do it and then we just couldn't figure out the mechanism without creating this whole other problem. So we tried to focus on what we could do and understand some of the limitations based on the platform, because it's not perfect, but we tried to make it the best we could. And we're going to continue to evolve it and find, you know, better uses for some other apps and things like that. But it's done an amazing job so far. We're thrilled with the support from the community. One of the areas where it's definitely lacking is the restaurantability, and that's something else we're looking at. So I know Shopify has their own, you know, restaurant platform, and there's a couple other things out there. So we're still experimenting with that and figuring it out. But from a retailer and a kind of a pre-order service perspective, it's awesome.
Amazing. Just a quick question here, because you know, you're talking about how it's going to continue to evolve, and you're evolving the way that you're seeing it used. And you know, we're sort of on the cusp of having everything open back up. But we also know that there's risk that if there's a potential second wave, that things could close down again. So how are you sort of promoting it as this sustainable tool that's going to be used from now until, you know, forever, and that it wasn't just a stopgap in between, you know, the time of COVID, but it's actually something that what really helps to perpetuate, you know, growth for these businesses long term?
So I'll start to answer that question. It's probably one of the biggest challenges that we knew would come. When things opened, of course, people are going to shift their attention to brick and mortar, to their customers that are in front of them. And we've definitely seen sales go down since at each stage. When retailers came on board, we definitely saw a downturn. And then when restaurants opened their patios, saw a downturn. So I think for us, what the next stage is, because we came into this 2020 with our plates full already, we had to make room for this, and we're looking for opportunities to carve out time to be able to now move our sellers and our buyers into the world of understanding that this is not going away. This is another sales channel for you, and it's really up to you to succeed. That's the message to the seller. And to the buyer, there's tons of buyers out there who still aren't coming out for whatever reason. They're still buying on Amazon for whatever reason. And I'm not saying like Amazon's a bad thing. I shop on Amazon, but there's you know, if you can support local, as I've said many times, try to do your best. So yeah, that's what I would say.
And just to add to that, from the beginning, when we did talk to all of our members and try to get them on board as sellers, we really tried to push as much as we could that this is not just a for now, this is going to be ongoing, because we want them to see that you need to be online. Some of the businesses didn't even have websites. So going from nothing to an e-commerce site and having sales, I think this just validated why they need to be online, COVID or no COVID. You know, people are online all the time searching for things. They might not necessarily always buy online, but they're browsing. They're going to find out about what you carry, what you don't carry, virtually, right? You know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, they might want to see what you have in store. And why not be there when the customer wants to see what you have? So it's like Mary Jo said, it's a continual challenge that we're going to be working with them to integrate the marketplace into everyday business, making sure that products are updated, new products are added, keeping it fresh. You know, that's a key to bringing new buyers into the marketplace, is check out all the new things that we have every week or every, you know, few weeks. New products are going to be here. So you want to make sure you check it all the time.
That's super exciting. I've heard that the future for business, especially Main Street, is click and mortar, right? Not just brick and mortar. There's an opportunity there for hybrid ism that's really important to take advantage of.
Yeah, and as people get used to buy online, pick up in store, you know, you see that from a lot of larger box stores that you can do that. That's an easy integration for small business as well. Buy online, pick up in my shop, and discover more when you're in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely have had sellers say two things. One, somebody bought online, they came to pick up their parcel, and then they browsed and bought more. And then secondly, they came and bought something and said, I came to your store because I was browsing last night on your site. So helping people understand there might be not tangible, there might not be dollars in your cash drawer that you can see directly from the Shopify site, but again, that sort of ripple effect is people are shopping down here that never even knew that there was that we had the products that we did. So it's a great way to open the window basically to the downtown. And
just to add a final thought to that piece, it's so true. You're not only just getting new buyers, but people who might frequent some shops and they're discovering new. Some of the businesses were saying, I'm building customers through the marketplace. People that might not have walked by their store, they're now visible on the marketplace with everybody else. So it's another way to market themselves just by being on the marketplace.
Amazing. Well, with that, time goes by quick, and we really appreciate you sharing information about the initiative and your experience. So can you remind everybody listening how they can find you and your website? And certainly I'm sure everybody near and far will be keeping an eye on your progress and the success that you've generated out of this. So what's your website and any other contact details you want to share?
Go ahead, Kelsey.
So the marketplace is shop.downtownbelleville.ca. And you can find us through there. There's the little messenger on there. You can just ping us to say hi.
Very nice. Well, thank you again, Mary Jo Carriere and Kelsey Moniz from the Belleville Downtown District BIA. We really appreciate it. We will be posting this video online and through social media so people can either share or listen again to your story and check out your website. So with that, I'm going to hand the reins over to my friend and colleague, Adam Castle, who's the Director of Venture Services for WEtech Alliance. And he's going to run through some great tools from that were created by WEtech for small businesses and organizations who are listening today. So handing it over to you, Adam.
Thanks so much, Justin and Kelsey and Mary Jo. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to sort of talk about that. I first learned about the platform on a call from the Economic Developers Association of Canada, who has been meeting sort of every month on this. And everyone is so impressed by the level of innovation that you guys have sort of shown. And it really is a model that I think we're going to see emulated here in Windsor, Essex. I know Chatham-Kent has seen some appetite for it as well. So I just think that it really is this potential to move things forward in a new way. So As Justin mentioned, my name is Adam Castle, and I'm the Director of Venture Services for WEtech Alliance. I spent the last 7 years working in economic development and have worked with hundreds of companies across our region on growth strategy and business developments. Now, WEtech is a regional innovation center. We're actually one of 17 in Ontario, part of the RIC network, and our mandate is to help tech companies scale and grow in Windsor, Essex, and Chatham-Kent. We're really excited to collaborate with the lab to bring these customized business development tools and templates to a province-wide tourism sector audience. We work with, every single day, startups, and WEtech Alliance, really what we want to teach you is a framework that we see them using in order to rapidly test out new ideas in a way that's sort of relatively safe and overall low risk. There's going to be some time at the end of my overview to ask questions, of course, but we'll jump into the sort of questions at the very end. So I wanted to start by framing up what we define as a digital shift for this program and throughout what we're working on. And for a very long time at WEtech and around our network, we've always said that business is tech, no matter what type of business they are, even if they don't really know it yet. And what we mean by that is taking technology and putting it at the very core of what you do as entrepreneurs. Maybe your products or services aren't tech forward, but now more than ever, small businesses really need to incorporate technology in order to ensure their value can still be delivered in safe and, most importantly, sustainable ways. Another person adding in. We believe there's a real value in thinking like a startup, especially at this time, because startups operate under a few really key principles that help them excel under uncertainty. In fact, many believe that early startups are already businesses. Truthfully, though, they're actually just organized experiments. They're testing out their assumptions and searching for a business model that fits their product. They teach us to do a couple things really well. The first, of course, is to disregard the status quo. Be curious, make mistakes, get messy, and of course, really learn how to fail fast, learn deeply, and pivot. As many of us begin to open our businesses back up, one thing we're seeing across all sectors is the need for business to employ more flexibility than ever before. Well, this doesn't always mean more technology. Almost 98% of those cases means it does. And we want to develop ways to deliver magic and value of your business through tech. We think it's absolutely vital at this time to be prepared for the next wave. It's not an if, but a when. And so instead of going back to normal, we want to encourage everyone here today to look to move forward, really embrace change, and create some new tools to ensure that your businesses can be sustained over the long term. We're really thankful for our shift experts today. They did such a great job at explaining their portal and giving a background on sort of what they've learned over the last couple of months. One of my favorite parts about the new e-marketplace that they've created and put together is that it doesn't take the newness of the platform for granted. Not only is it a great tool, but it also educates consumers and really holds their hands through the process. And so I really encourage you all to go take a look at what it actually looks like. But basically, as you go through the site, there's little pop-ups and tiny little bits of information everywhere that really teaches you to use it as you go along. It makes it really easy. And I think that's really important because as a business, when we're creating new experiences for our customers, that's a deviation from what they're used to. It's important that we have them sort of come along with us as a business on our own sort of journey, right? It's a really great way to increase buy-in. So addressing one of the most prominent questions from our first session, I want to take a couple of minutes and focus on the how of idea creation. We've had many who love the tools, but didn't know where to start in creating an idea for their own shift. Now, I was lucky enough a few years ago to watch a presentation from Duncan Wardle at a conference. And Duncan is the former head of innovation and creativity at Disney Global. And I really encourage you to check out his TED Talks. They're absolutely life-changing. But what you're going to hear him talk a lot about is that creativity is a process that's often made nearly impossible through overthinking. In baseball, but the only sport that I follow, you're going to hear coaches a lot of the time say something like, try easier when they're maybe choking the bat a little too much or they're trying too hard to hit the ball. And I love that as sort of a personal phrase. And I use it to remind our clients all the time to approach curiosity or creativity rather with curiosity and openness, right? Try a little easier. Don't try so hard. Still put that effort through, but maybe take a couple steps back, take a breath, and realize that this process goes a lot easier when you're not overthinking things. Now, One of the easiest ways to go about trying easier is to stop trying to invent something brand new. If it already exists, you don't need to come up with it again, right? We can see over and over again in history that genius is more often than not iterative. It's a process. It's innovation, not invention. And so in this case, when you're doing your work and setting up your experiments, R&D means research and duplicate. You know, so if you're looking for inspiration on the next experiment, trying to look for things that already exist and are already being leveraged in other places, and then figure out ways to make it work for you, make it work for your location, make it work for your market or for your products. And so instead of coming up with new ideas all the time, do a Google search, do a really deep Google search and figure out what you like that's going on either in other sectors or in your sector in other places, and try and bring bits and pieces of that back to figure out how it works best for you. You've all received a copy of this digital shift workbook that we provided you. A lot of this information can actually be found inside the tool itself. So what we're going to do today is sort of go through, chat it out right now. Now, we started this tool with a couple pieces of Mad Lib entertainment for you, and it's really important to standardize these two cornerstone statements, the hypothesis and your value proposition. They're going to help guide you as standards across every single experiment you run. And we recommend that all of your experiments are run for a minimum of 4 weeks so you can properly assess them. So let's really get started here. So starting with our digital hypothesis, which is really just a fancy way of saying that this is my best guess, it really helps us to clarify our assumptions. The beautiful part about this tool is that it isn't just for your biggest or best ideas. It can actually be used for any idea you want to test out in your business. Now, before something becomes core to what you do, it's really important to test everything to make sure that what we think is actually the same as what we know. Now, this is the same method we've been teaching the hundreds of startups who traditionally have very few resources outside of their amazing brains. You know, there's this huge myth that you need a bunch of funding to start a tech company. And that is 100% been proven false. The same goes for these experiments. They are low cost and low risk. And so what we did was we put a framework around these things because it helps you to really understand what's worth doing long term and what maybe needs to be retired. Now, the hypothesis is actually what scientists use when they're doing their experiments, as you might remember from high school science class. But really what you're going to go through here at the beginning of each experiment are these sort of 4 key assumptions, right? I believe that this testable action, and in the case of the BIA, which we'll be using an example, is that the convenience and charm that comes from shopping a physical district will translate to a digital space. They need to use an e-commerce platform here that allows for multiple vendors and shared shopping carts. And there's actually a whole bunch of these that are available out there. And what's great about out-of-the-box solutions, as this one is that you don't have to pay for a lot of the customization. Sometimes there's templates that already work and are up and running. So just to test it out, you can sort of get it together. And as they did at the BIA, show their board right off the bat, right? So really neat to allow you to sort of test your assumptions. Now, the assumption is this is going to drive this additional and flexible customer interactions for your businesses. And they're going to test that effectiveness by making sure that we're collecting lots of data about how many orders are taking place, how much revenue is passed over the system, which we sort of heard them talk about, you know, how many businesses have been onboarded, and really overall feedback from both parties on their experience, right? Is everyone essentially having a good time with this? So moving into our value proposition, you can really see how we're starting to frame this up. The value prop is really the North Star statement of your experiments and your business. It helps build everything from the marketing and communication messages to products and innovation. Now, some may call it an elevator pitch or a positioning statement. What matters most here is that you stay true to the value you initially wanted to deliver when you create your idea. You're not going to get lost on even the most adventurous of digital shift experiments by having a really solid value proposition. So in the case of a digital shopping district, we of course want to serve local consumers who want convenient and seamless online shopping that supports local business. You know, the Shop Belleville portal provides the convenience of one-stop shopping with the safety of social distancing. By doing so, it creates a sense of place and community, which we heard about during our talk. It really provides flexible new revenue streams for local businesses, and unlike large online retailers or mega stores, cough, Amazon cough, it gives local businesses the digital advantage without having to sacrifice the kind of charm and customer service that shoppers really expect from shopping the quaint downtown space. Now, these two pillars are deceptively simple to fill out, but I really encourage you to take some time and really plan them carefully. Now, we're not going to fill in the rest of the tool quite as particularly as we did with the first two pieces, but I hope this gives you an outline of how you can actually adapt this to your own ideas. Setting these first two key statements up is absolutely crucial to be able to get the most out of this tool. So moving into our customer control group, what you're going to find is that we really want to provide sort of more time and effort invested into something that may or may not be sustainable long term. So this entire experiment is to figure out whether or not something's going to work. When you choose your customer control groups, what I really think is important is to ensure they represent a good variety of your overall customer base. So you're not going to roll this out to every single customer that comes through the door. You can use this box to really define some factors you're going to use to determine a sample size of customers you're going to test this out on. You know, what customer segment you're going to test. This, of course, changes from business to business and from experience to experience. Now we have who we're sort of trying to target and exactly how we're going to determine whether or not they're a fit for that experiment. You want to move into the channels and engagement piece. So communication, as we know, is everything as a small business. That you can connect your customers in direct and productive ways in small business. And what is the best way to get the word out about this new offering other than to have these conversations, right? So how we're going to hold our customers' hands really entails sort of what the difference will be when working with these experiments. You know, it's something that giant businesses like Apple and Amazon, they really only wish they had that kind of control over. You have all the control in the world getting feedback from your customers as a smaller business, which is basically a superpower. So you're going to be able to directly connect, and that means all of the feedback you get is firsthand and is so incredibly valuable. You're going to use this box to answer the questions around how you plan on getting that word out, to let your customer control group know about this exciting new idea. Moving into metrics. So the effectiveness of business experiences like these that we're teaching you really depends entirely on your ability as a business to observe outcomes. The absolute beauty of being a smaller, relatively small business, of course, is that you're working directly with your consumers and that you can observe more effectively than any other business out there, right? It's a superpower for driving innovation. One of the things we always tell our clients is that if you treasure it, you measure it. Now, whether that's revenue, customer satisfaction, referrals, repeat purchases, profit margins, what you measure will change based on your experiment. What's important is to ensure that you're able to measure easily and that you make the time needed to really digest all of that beautiful data you're creating. Now, there's sort of this trope that big data sort of drives the trends of the new world, drives the trends of the future, but small data can be just as important. Data is only useful when you're going to use it. We're going to look at it, you're really going to analyze it, and so whatever you end up collecting, whether it's 1,000 emails or 10, use them. Use that information to really drive this thing forward and assess whether or not it's a good fit long term. Taking the time to work on your business is just as important as taking the time to work in it. In this box, you're going to list the things you intend to measure in order to ensure you have enough information to decide whether this experiment is something wonderful or worth letting fizzle out. Now, moving into our workflow and mechanics portion, this section is really your how. And it's the perfect space to get very particular about the execution of your experiment. Now, there's a very old joke that asks, how do you eat an elephant? And it ends in one bite at a time. I have a pause for laughter in here, but really your experiments may seem like an elephant. So breaking them down into very small bites can help. I know it's a lot easier said than done. So I suggest taking the time to break everything down into smaller tasks. If you're having trouble identifying tasks, really start out just by asking yourself which steps need to be performed for the project to be finished and working backwards from there. Breaking down a project according to the crucial tasks really helps you to divide it into larger chunks or milestones. Now, you may notice also in this tool, we've included a 30, 60, 90-day tracker. It's part of the workbook. And once you have the basics laid out in this box, you can break everything down further into this 30, 60, 90 timeline. Really take everything week by week in your experiments and use what you've learned this week to power changes and tweaks that you're going to make in the next week. So here in the tracking section, you're going to be identifying everything based on the metrics you've defined, tracking what the overall outcome is that you observed, the date measured, because you're going to be doing this more than once over the life of the experiment, the change plus or minus from where you first started, and then any additional notes you may have on the process. The point here is to really look at whether or not your initial beliefs were correct or not. Was your best guess right? Was it wrong? We really hope that this process provides you a ton of opportunity to learn. Now, by tracking these things carefully, you'll be way more likely to remember the final details when it comes to the end and it's time to assess all of the results. So I really recommend running these experiments no less than 1 full month, as I said earlier, to be able to draw the best possible picture of its effects. And so when I say run it for a month, and this is a question that we got last time too, what I mean is that 1 month in the hands of your customers, not 1 month from thinking about it and then maybe trying it out and then running it for a couple weeks and then taking it down. It's really getting everything ready, pressing play, and using your customer segments or your sort of available customer segments, the ones you've decided who are going to test this out for you, and work with them for a full month on whether or not this thing is going to look, whether or not this thing is going to run. Now, moving into your results. By answering these 3 questions we have here, you should really be able to make somewhat of a judgment call. Do you want to lean in, learn more, or halt? Now, leaning in means growing the experiment into a full-time offering. Learning more means extending the experiment and changing up some of your approach or plugging in new answers to your map as you adjust your customers' feedback. Now, halting is in no way seen as negative. In the world of startups, yeses and nos are equally valuable because of the hard data they provide. It's the maybes that are the absolute worst. So if you decide that your experiment is a halt, we really hope you decide to take your learning lessons and apply them to your next big idea. And here's the thing, rest assured, you're gonna have so many more big ideas. Actually, there's a lot of research that says that tracking ideas like this in very structured ways, just putting things down on paper actually acts as basically a greenhouse for growing more ideas. You know, creativity is really this muscle and it can be exercised and improved on like any other. Now, the box for your next steps is really simple, sort of the final point here. Do you create a system to scale up this experiment, or do you want to move on to your next sort of aha moment? Remember to come back and finish this last box after you've made your decision. Now, speaking of making your decisions, there's a second part of our tool entirely. It comes in the form of this digital shift calculator. Now, the calculator is designed to be super intuitive and very easy to use. It isn't all about the numbers here, though. We know that you know whether or not something's a good idea based on math, right? You're brilliant business owners and you've been doing it a long time. So what I wanted to do was start to measure some of the softer factors that I feel are just as important in order to help inform your decision. We developed out these 9 key factors to really assess the long-term sustainability of these experiments. Now, it's super easy to do. You score your experiment across all 9 factors based on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being, of course, you strongly disagree based on your evidence, and 10 being you strongly agree based on your evidence. It calculates everything for you, and you'll get a score at the bottom on a scale of 1 to 100. Now, based on that score, you should have a pretty good idea on whether or not something is worth pursuing, or it needs more work to hit more of these factors in a meaningful way. Now, we designed all of these tools to create in sort of a standalone guide so that you can go through all of this on your own. But please remember that we're doing 5 of these workshops total, so we've done 2 now, and they're all geared towards different industries, so under the tourism umbrella. And we really encourage you to sit on those free workshops as well, because you could get some additional information on it. One of the things that I think is really important is this link here to a directory of the small business enterprise centers across Ontario. You have an SBEC near you, wherever you are, and they have staff that can help you gather resources to develop out these experiment processes. I also wanted to mention, and Digital Main Street was mentioned briefly in the opening remarks too, but Digital Main Street, the program in Ontario, is now accepting new applicants. You can access Digital Main Street services through any of your small business centers or online, and your local VIAs also have access to them as well. They can provide you with training, resources, and investment dollars to assist you in creating your own digital channels for your business. Amazing. So at this point, I'll change things over to Justin, and we'll accept any questions if we have them.
Great. Well, thanks so much. I'll just wait for a moment. Adam, if there are any incoming questions. I know that we received a number last time after you did your presentation, and you mentioned one or two of them in your presentation. Were there any others that you could, not to put you on the spot, that people asked that you could kind of, respond again to, that you can think about related to the tool and how to implement it?
Yeah, I think it comes down to there's the question of like, well, how do I start? Right? That's always sort of the question that we get. And I think what's really important to note and to sort of consider is that there's no wrong way to start this. So if you have an idea, whatever it is, that's a change or deviation from your normal business practices, trying it out and putting it into this platform or into this tool is a really great way to just start exercising that muscle of, here's how I lay out an experiment properly, here's how I measure whether or not it's working, and here's how I'm able to really make decisions that are smart decisions, that are informed decisions based on the stuff that I'm seeing. And so don't worry or don't get scared off that you may not have the biggest and best and brightest idea to change your business up right now. We're all going through the scariest time ever, and we don't really know what's going to happen next, right? It's 2020 is this incredible emotional roller coaster for every business owner out there. And so any idea, no matter how small it is or how small seeming it is a good chance to practice this. And there's lots of ways. There's always little experiments that you can take in your business, from trying out something new to doing something differently, that you can put into this framework and really sort of start to shape the way you think about making change in your business as a whole.
Amazing. And maybe if you could remind people, I guess, or we can remind people that they'll receive this tool and template if they haven't already through Eventbrite. So you'll get it again, I guess, when we send out an evaluation survey of this session.
Yes, we'll send out an evaluation survey this session. We hope you all answer it. We'll also send a copy of this video in case you want to rewatch our conversation with the amazing Belleville BIA and want to check out the tool information a little bit more too.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Adam. Clearly, we appreciate the expertise and the energy that you put behind supporting small businesses going through a digital shift. And people sometimes know me as I love pilot projects. So testing out ideas is how you, can find innovations, whether it's in a part of your business or creating a business itself. So thanks again. And thanks to the team at WEtech Alliance. It's been really great to collaborate with you, Adam, and everyone at WEtech on this Digital Shift series. So we're looking forward to the next one, which is scheduled for July 21st. Stay tuned to our social media and other channels for updates. We'll be, as Adam mentioned, covering different subsectors of the tourism industry. So the next rounds will include attractions, festivals and events, how they've gone through and pivoted during this time and made a digital shift. So we're excited. We'll be excited to make announcements shortly on that. Thanks again for everyone joining us today. As Adam mentioned, we'll be sharing the video and other the tools and templates. You can go to tourisminnovation.ca for more information about the Ontario Tourism Innovation Lab. And finally, thanks to our partners and for all of us out there joining us. We appreciate it and look forward to your feedback. So thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon and take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.